When we're young, we have an amazing, positive outlook about how great life is going to be, but somewhere along the line, we forget to dream and end up settling. Join Up Dots features amazing people who refuse to give up and chose to go after their dreams. This is your blueprint for greatness. So here's your host, live from the back of his garden in the UK, David Ralph.
Yes, hello there. Good morning to you everywhere across the world. Hope you're having a good one. It is sweaty today in the United Kingdom. I say this a lot, but I sit in a recording studio and I can't have any air conditioning on because you go, woo, you get that sort of nasty noise like your wife sitting on a spin cycle. It's not good. It's not good. So I am really, really sweaty today, but hopefully it's going to be appealing to all you ladies out there, as this lady is going to be appealing to not only ladies, but men as well, because she is somebody who has got her own kind of spark about her. It instantly come across when I first started connecting with her. She's the CEO and founder of Boss Mum. She is a mother, author, business strategist, podcaster, blind spot reducer, and movement maker. She's the author of Boss Mum, the ultimate guide to raising a business and nurturing your family like a pro. And with over 9,000 students in various courses and over 10 years of experience in content creation, community building, and business strategy, she grew the Boss Mum brand into a six-figure business in less than a year. Go her. But was this always a success that was on the cards, or did she go through the same struggles, guilt and burnout that most new entrepreneurs find themselves in as their fledgling business grows? Well, certainly the life of a thriving entrepreneur certainly didn't seem on the cards as she pursued her education both in Dijon in France and the Indiana University, where she studied broadcast journalism. I can't even say it, let alone study it. Broadcast journalism. Instead, upon completing her studies, she entered employment with the Lowdendal Group and Quantum of Health, but it wasn't until she quit her job and got pregnant that the first dots of what has become today's mission really raised themselves. How do you build a business while supporting a new baby? How do you build a business whilst being a wife, lover, friend, best friend, and all the other hats that ladies wear nowadays? And with the why can't we have our cake and eat it ideology, Boss Mum was created to do two things. First, to help dramatically shift the mindset of ladies across the world in how they see themselves and your role as a mother, entrepreneur, wife, daughter, friend, and more, and an epic shift that will allow them to see how they can be amazing in each of these roles without sacrificing the others. And secondly, to guide them through a new way of thinking about how they integrate their family life with their entrepreneurial life, giving a plan that can be implemented that will make her clients' world feel a little easier. So would she say that she was a reluctant entrepreneur, or one that was always waiting to go out and blaze big across the world? And what would be the biggest learning she's gained from growing a business from scratch? Well, let's find out as we bring onto the show to start joining up dots with the one and only Dana Malstaff. Good morning,
Hello.
Dana. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited. You make me sound awesome.
Well, you are pretty awesome because you're the only person I've ever met that's got banana as a middle name. And that excites me greatly. I don't know why it does, but anybody that's got fruit in their name, connect with me, because that's what I want in my life. I want fruity people, and you are as fruity as they come.
Well, my mom actually told me my middle name is Banana. It's not actually Banana, but that would be kind of fun if it was.
It would be great. It would be great. So what is your middle name?
Lee, which is funny. I remember my maiden name was Parker. So I remember coming back through visiting, Europe, coming back through from customs, and my maiden name was Dana Lee Parker. And the woman was like, "You sound like a country singer." I was like, "Oh, thanks." That's not what I pursued, though. I definitely pursued a much different route in life.
Well, you have, but can you give us a bit of the country twang? And did you burst into song after a couple of glasses of wine?
I do, but it's usually Disney songs and not country.
Let it go, let it go. I bet you do that, don't you?
I do. And actually my daughter just got a whole dress up. But we're into Moana right now. So we do it. There's a lot more like tribal singing in our house, I think.
So in your house, obviously you've got the Boss Mum brand, but is it a sort of brand that really did find you? Because it seems like it. You seem like American Mum. You seem like the kind of person that I see on these High School Musical films. It's you. Was it a brand that was always going to be with you?
It was not. It was, oh man, I quit my job to start my own business. And in that night, we went out to drink and celebrate, and everybody bought me shots of tequila. And I got home and got pregnant. So
it always happens like that.
It always happens like that. So literally the day I quit my job, I conceived a baby. So my husband's always like, that is way too much information to people, but we're all adults here, you know? I mean, we pretty much know how babies are made. So yeah, like I didn't get married, you know, just to have a roommate. So I basically became a mom and an entrepreneur at the same exact time. No idea how to do either one, but I'm a go-getter. So, you know, just dove in, and you just feel really guilty. It's really hard to be a mom and an entrepreneur at the same time. Like, it's really hard to not feel bad about dividing your attention and figuring out what your priorities are. And honestly, sometimes babies are a pain in the butt, and they're not fun, and they're exhausting, and getting to know them is hard. And it's like being forced into a relationship with somebody. And and so you feel bad about it. And I didn't want to feel bad about it, but I did. And we ended up moving out to San Diego to be with near my family. And at that time, I met up with a group of people we became a mastermind together. One was a book coach, and the book coach said, hey, if anybody wants to write a book. And I was like, oh my God, of course I want to write a book. And we sat down, and I was like, I'm going to write a book about content strategy, and it's going to be awesome and amazing. And we sat down, and everything on my mind mapping was about mom guilt. And so we basically that's how I figured it out. It was like, well, I better write a book about mom guilt and not feeling guilty, and how important it is for us to do what we love and not have our children be the center of the universe. Like, because we love them enough, but then they can't be the center of the universe. You have to do things for you. Like, you were a total human being before you had babies. And so you should be a human being after you have babies. And it just became a big passion of mine.
Yeah, I think so. And I can honestly say you're the first person I've ever met where I always used to say, when my son came along, I felt like I was babysitting for the first 6 weeks. And if somebody had rung on the door and said, we're here to pick him up, I would have gone, thank God, here you go back. Because it is like being forced into a relationship. It's very, very strange when you suddenly get this little pink thing vomiting all over you, and you've got to instantly feel like you love it, and you don't. You don't. It just looks like a little purple alien when my daughter came out. I've got 5, you see. I've got 5 and 2 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh. That doesn't even make sense to me. Yeah, I can't even, like, I've got 2, and that was, you know, that's enough. And I've joked before, you know, in an interview where I question my life decisions all the time. You know, it's one of those things where people were like, oh, the 3rd one was an accident. I would never give them up. Like, I would always want them in my life, but they were an accident. You know, like, we feel bad about that. We feel bad about admitting that the things in our life are hard. And some days we kind of just loved those days when you could sleep in whenever you wanted and travel whenever you wanted and do whatever you want. And the same thing's for your business. Like, the days when you didn't have to worry about you making sure that the money came in and how the business is run and paying people and doing all those things. Like, for you not to have to worry about that, that freedom feels great. But all the things that you actually care about are challenging, because that's what makes life dynamic. And so I encourage us to live dynamic lives, and then just not worry about, like, crying on the bathroom floor sometimes. Like, everybody does it. Like, even if you have a completely boring life, you're going to cry on the bathroom floor. So you might as well cry on the bathroom floor about something meaningful.
No, I always go for somewhere soft. The bathroom floor isn't soft at all. Why do people do it there? Go on a sofa or a bed or somewhere.
We like to hide. I like to do it in the shower or the bath, so nobody can actually see you crying, and that way you can really ugly cry.
Cover it up with water. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
so what is it about women then, right? There's so many weird things about women. But when it comes to actual balancing a life and a job, or a baby and a job, men don't have this guilt. We just go, oh, I've got to go off to work, and somebody else deals with it. But women seem to, even sort of half term and school holidays and stuff, it's my wife running around going, who's going to look after the children? And I'm thinking, I don't really care, to be honest. You know, Mowgli looked after himself for years.
Yeah, I like to blame hormones. I think they're evil. And I think we're purposely built that way because we want to make sure our children stay alive. Like, it's built into us to make sure that they're alive even when they're a pain in the butt. And so it's like ingrained in, there's these hormones that, like, ping you when you stop caring about something, and you're like, that's it, I'm going to give up. I'm not going to care about it. And then this little hormone, like a little hormone ninja, creeps into your brain and is like, you've got to be empathetic, and you've got to care, and you've got to love everybody. And by the way, manage everything and micromanage everything, because if you don't, nobody else will, and your children will die a fiery death. And like that's how you feel. And we just can't help it. Like, we honestly, there are very few women that can help it. Like, we can't help it. We call it nurturing, but it's really crazy. Like, it's being crazy. We can't help it. We're crazy. And I think we should just own it. Just own your crazy, and work with it, leverage your crazy, and everything will be fine.
So which one of your kids don't you like then? Which what's your favorite one?
Yeah. So it's actually hilarious. I did an episode on my podcast that was about how to manage your home like your business. And I am great at managing my business, and my home is a hot mess. But my co-host, she's got it all figured out from a home perspective. And I had said if my kids were employees, I would have fired my daughter a long time ago, because the first 18 months of her life were like a pain in my butt. She cried. She was fussy. She wasn't very lovey. She didn't really want to cuddle with us. I was like, what? Like, here, Dad, you take care of her, and I'm going to cuddle with my adorable, snuggly, just awesome, wants to kiss me all the time son, who's 4 or going to be 4 soon. And yeah, so my son was an absolute preference. And now my daughter is just turned 2, and she's turned like a freaking adorable. She turned adorable, and she's cuddly and lovey, and this personality is awesome. And now my son's starting to kind of grow up, and he's adorable, but just he's not as like cute and cuddly. And so I feel like it's going to bounce back and forth. But for a while there, like, I considered giving my daughter back.
It won't bounce back and forth. I tell you what happens. I've got 4 girls and a boy, and the boy just stays basically normal for his entire life. He's fine. But your daughter is a princess at the beginning, then she turns into mega princess, and you just want to eat her. And then she hits about 12, 11 sometimes, and she's a cow overnight. And that runs for the next 15 years. Until she finds some drunk boy in a bar somewhere and lives in a bedsit. And that's what you aim for. As a father, you aim for getting your daughters out with somebody to get them off your hands, because they turn nasty, door slamming. You don't understand, Dad. You don't understand. And I generally don't. And I've been through it 4 times now, and I still don't understand.
That's hilarious. I was actually a really good kid. I'm like best friends with my parents. I listened to everything they said because I thought it was easier to listen to them than to try and make my own, like, try it on my own. Then I figured if it didn't work, I could just blame them. And it just turns out they're pretty smart. So I was actually a really good kid. And I was one of those people that I didn't want to, like, if I didn't skip school because I was so nervous I'd get caught, that I wouldn't enjoy it anyway. So I just went to school and like and I like working. Working makes me like, creating things makes me feel fulfilled. So I don't know. I like school. I like work. So I'm hoping my daughter turns out just like me.
You can't say that you was a good kid. Nobody can say they was a good kid. It's like serial killers always get told that they were great neighbours. Oh, he was the perfect neighbour. He was really quiet and stuff. You can't say it about yourself. I'm going to have to get your mum and dad on.
I'm going to try not to burn any houses down. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you'll be fine. So let's talk about the brand, Ben. So you've grown this business, and what is flourishing about it is you've tapped into a kind of emotional market. I looked at this and I thought, this is genius. It's not about actual business skills as such. It's about the whole package. It's about empowering ladies to realise that they can have their cake and eat it. What kind of came first with you? Was it the let's get structured, ladies, let's get something in plan to make the house easier, and then it bred into a business, or how did it all come together?
Oh God, no. And I'm a horrible home manager. I'm not meant to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm not even meant to be around my kids for more than like 6 hours max at a time. I'm great in business. So what happened is I gave women permission. Like the Boss Mom brand is about giving you permission to do whatever the heck works for you. Like it's about getting women to see that it doesn't matter what your brand of crazy is. It works for you. And we should always continually reach out and have a community and support to find other women that are kind of in our same kind of realm of crazy in certain areas, to give us support and ideas about what works and didn't work for them. But you're fine the way you are. Like, you're fine. Whatever your little idiosyncrasies are, they're fine. And whatever you're feeling guilty about, a million other people are feeling guilty about that same thing. And my mom would say, which makes you not very special, so stop worrying about it so much. So when I created this community where I gave women permission and they could take the worry off their plate of feeling bad about who they are or how they were parenting or how they were trying to start a business or dividing their attention or how they were being a wife or any of those things. And that worry, I took that worry away. It frees up a lot of time and space. And once I freed that up for them, then I could go, by the way, I've got all these really great tools for you that you can pay me for that helps you actually run your business, helps you save time, helps you time manage, helps you be productive, helps you actually, create products and services and sell them and do all these different things and create your own movement and create your own this and that. And what it is I realized what the gap was for my demographic. Like I realized.
Right, let's slow you down here. Dana Banana, right? Let's slow you down here because what intrigues me with this moment in your life is you're saying, I gave them permission. Now, that's a very confident, bold statement to make. And the majority of people would go, who am I to give permission? I'm just Dana Banana. I don't deserve to give permission. How did you sort of overcome that? Because that must have been a big mindset shift you went through at that stage.
No, I'm a very confident person. I don't, it doesn't bother me to give permission. No, I mean, I forget my kids' lunch. I'm going to go to Vegas for the weekend and I'm flying there with my husband. My parents are watching my kids. It's the first time we're going to be away. And I forget my kids' lunch and my mom's going to take me to the airport. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I must be the only mom ever to forget my kids' lunch. And my mom said, how arrogant of you to think that you're the only mom to ever forget your kids' lunch. And it dawned on me. And this was after I'd started the Boss Mom brand, but I think that's when it really solidified for me and what prompted me to write our second book that just came out, which is the Confessions of a Boss Mom book. And it solidified for me why we have this brand and why I feel so confident in this and giving these women this permission is that I have a mom and I have a community that gives me that confidence. Like I have the space that people have given me and the permission that people have given me that I know it works, that I know that if you can just let those things go and know that if you can just get past that worry, that there is these beautiful, wonderful, productive, awesome things on the other side. And that's what gives me confidence to go, you guys have permission. Believe me, like I've seen the other side. It looks great. You all should come over. We can party there. And so I feel confident because other people gave me that confidence.
Now, you are very open to say that at home, you're a bit of a screw-up. Great in business, but actually at home, it's a bit all over the shop.
Continual improvement, I'd like to call it.
Okay, I like to say a screw-up from this side of the pond, and as I'm the host of the show, you got to go with it. So does that sort of grow your branding, that honesty? Because you're not trying to be the perfect person. You're not trying to be somebody that is almost unreachable. The fact that you're saying, look, I do this very well, but I don't do that very well, but hey, it doesn't matter. Has that been a real sort of super talent?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole like quote unquote being a real person. I mean, they've tested it time and time again. Just from a business perspective, it converts better. Like if you put a video up on your site and it's beautifully, perfectly amazing, wonderfully curated, 9 times out of 10 it actually converts worse than a video that you aren't perfect in. Like you in the intro to this particular episode, you tried to say broadcast journalism and you're like, no, I can't even say that. That's real. Like people want real people. We want to hang out with people where we go out, like you said, and have drinks and get drunk together and not hang out with people where you'd feel uncomfortable doing that. So yeah, it absolutely helps for me to be a real person. But also I run my business by getting my community to help me make decisions about my business. So if I'm not honest about the things that aren't working, then how am I supposed to go to my community and say, what should I do next? Like, what do you guys want here? Like, this wasn't working. Why didn't it work? If I'm not being honest and I'm being secret about that, then I can't get help from my community. And getting help from my community helps create buzz. It helps create engagement. It helps create this feeling like they are part of something bigger, so that Boss Mom isn't just run by me. It's really run by the whole community, and they help build it in a way that makes sense for them. And because I structure it that way, people buy a lot more of my stuff.
Powerful stuff, as are these words that we're going to hear now. And then we're going to delve back into your story. Jim Carrey.
My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that that was possible for him. And so he made a conservative choice. Instead, he got a safe job as an accountant. And when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. And our family had to do whatever we could to survive. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Now, do you really love what you're doing? Is it your thing?
Yeah, absolutely. But not boss mom, not the things, not the titles, not the brand. Honestly, that could all be completely different and I would still love it. What I've figured out what I love has to do a lot more with behavior. So like Jim Carrey talking about being a comedian, being an accountant are two completely different personality types. One is my husband who likes to sit in front of a spreadsheet and analyze things, right? And a comedian loves to take life and learn from life and work with, what you're given and meld it into different things and constantly change those things. That's what I figured out. I love to create. I love to see the product of my creation. I love to be around. I'm a true extrovert. I love to be around people. I love to get people excited because that excites me. And so boss mom could be something completely different, but as long as those elements are in my business, then I know that I'm going to love it. And anything that I don't love doing and I sit and I notice it's something that doesn't get checked off on my list, then I go, why am I not doing it? And who could I give it to so that I know it gets done, but I'm not doing it? So I'm a massive delegator.
Are you a bossy person as well? Because I think deep down that you actually like the directing of traffic. You like to be central to these people's lives.
Oh, I'm not a bossy person, but I absolutely love to help people make decisions. I tell people that I give decision support so they can have decision confidence. Like that's a phrase I use often. And so I love it. I don't want to be bossy, but I tell people I'm not a coach. I'm a strategist. I'm not here to give you space so you can figure out the answer. I actually want to give you the answer and then help you accomplish the thing that we're talking about. And that's a big differentiator that I make for myself. But I'm not bossy in the sense that I force people. I really love the phrase that I don't demand respect, I command respect. And I do that in a way of letting people have a voice and then pulling all that, content and ideas together and then giving them the best recommendation I have and then helping them fulfill that recommendation by giving them the tools and the support they need to execute.
Did you think businesses do sort of actually grow around you? The starting point is an idea, but actually the real business sort of falls into place just naturally from what you're doing. I'll give you an example. I run Join Up Dots 3 days a month. That's all I do. And the other time, I don't allow people to connect with me. I don't have a mobile phone. I don't check emails. I don't do anything. And people keep saying to me, how are you doing this? How are you running this business? I say, I'll put certain strategies in that means only the good people that I really want to speak to get through to me. And then it's more valuable because I do this. Oh, I can't do that. And I've started to think, blimey, I've got another business here. So many people out there are desperate to find a way of restricting the flow through to them, but making sure that the profitable nuggets of gold come through. But I wouldn't have got there without the first bit. It's kind of led me into this path where I can see like two different businesses. Do you actually have to start just doing something before the real gold comes to you, do you think?
Yeah, but I think some of it is just the discovery of self, right? Like the ask the question of, do you love what you do? Yeah, but not always. Like I had to do a bunch of crap I didn't like and didn't enjoy to discover what I did like. And that's in all areas of my life. Like I thought it would be really sexy to take fencing so that I could like take the mask off and wave my hair about and it would be very attractive. It turns out you get really sweaty under there and there's nothing attractive about fencing. Don't like fencing. But I love whitewater rafting and I loved archery. And so I'm a very experiential person. And I believe that testing and experimenting is the fruit of life. So I've done a ton of crap in business that I totally hated, some of which I was really good at and still hated. And then I stopped doing it. And so for me, it's not about, I have to do this to make money. There's a ton of money in the world. If you want to make money, you can make money. And I think people's relationship with money is the hard part. They think I have to be available in order for people to find value. And they don't realize that money and time are not mutually inclusive. Like if you are valuable, it's not because you're giving an hour. And somebody that thinks they need to get an hour of your time in order for you to be valuable of the money they're paying, then you're not hanging out with the right people, because that's just not the way that people make a lot of money think. The value is the information I give you. The value is how I change your life, and I can change that in 2 minutes. And it would be worth however much you paid me. And you want to be with the people that realize that. And I think that's the disconnect that people have, is that they think that they have to give more to equate to value, and it's because they don't understand what their value is. And the more they can find that out and get confident in that, then totally unplug. And if you only have to be there for 3 days a week, and I actually totally agree with you. Like, let's only let the people in that are really going to be the right people. And that's in all areas of your life. Like, stop hanging out with people that suck and only hang out with people that are going to get you, and you can have great inside jokes, and you can, have fun together. And those are the people you hang out with.
It is an astonishing turnaround. Certainly within 3 years, I went from being in a corporate gig to now going, let's walk along the beach on a Monday morning just because we fancy doing it, And I'm only now, after 3 years, I'm to the point now that I'm separating my corporate gig from the gig I created. It was 7 days a week, bang, and then I created this Join Up Darts, which was 7 days a week, and I kind of couldn't justify my free time. It's what I did. I went off to work, and I went off to this office, or I went off to my recording studio. It's only now that I've accepted what you're saying, which is true, that journey, that progression of upskilling and knowledge means that my time is so much more valuable, that I don't actually have to be there 9 hours a day. It's very interesting when it comes together for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to come to this space in your brain where, and I love the idea that you said, we're going to get in a pub and we're going to, the idea of this podcast is we're in a pub and we're, totally wasted and we're just having fun conversations, because that's where like your real issues come out. Like, go get wasted with somebody that's a work colleague, or like somebody that's I call them proximity mentors. So somebody that's maybe in a similar space as you in your business, and you can learn from each other, and just get wasted and start having the conversation of why you think you have to work all the time, and why you think you have to create stuff all the time, and why you think you have to do all of these things. And it'll come out like, oh, well, I have this way that I was taught about money, or I'm scared that if this happens, then this will happen. And then you can record it like you would do for this podcast and listen back to it and listen to how dumb those things are. And I don't mean dumb like you're dumb. I mean, the things we're scared about are dumb. Like, they're these totally unimportant things that we're scared about, but other people don't really care about. And we make them these big things that end up being walls in front of us. And the more that we just realize that they're kind of not necessary, then that's when you wake up in the morning and you realize, oh, I could just do whatever I want. And then people will begin to see the reality that I make for my life, and it'll all be good.
But of course, you could end up drinking too much with these people and then waking up pregnant and then forgetting some kid's lunch, and it's a spiral. You're on a spiral. Who knows where it's going to take you?
That's true. Although I'd like to think that my kids are the reason Boss Mom came about. So it was all predestined anyway, I'm sure. But I'm one of those people that I don't regret anything. So if I woke up drunk next to somebody, I'd be like, oh, well, how can I make this lemonade? And we figure it out from there.
I tell you what, it's lucky I'm a professional podcaster, because if I wasn't as focused on that sweaty image of you taking your mask off and flicking your hair back, I wouldn't be able to think of the next question. It stuck with me so much when you said that. I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm actually recording a podcast. I should get back onto it.
It is so less attractive than I wanted it to be. I really did. I wanted it to be really cool, and it was way less cool than I thought it was going to be.
I can make sweaty women very attractive, I tell you. It doesn't. It really doesn't take a lot. It's kind of my super skill. So when you're actually building your business, and there's certain levels that you have in a business where you think to yourself, this is it, I've done it, this is brilliant, this is fantastic, this is everything I want. And then a little bit later, you get a little bit bored, or you think, no, actually, I could do this, I could do that. What do you do in those interim times? Do you just sort of relax and enjoy that you've created something, or are you constantly on the go all the time looking for the next stage?
Oh, I'm one of those people that wants to take over the world. Like, actually, I want to just rule the world. So
and you
I
say
don't
you're not
have
bossy. You say you're not bossy, but you want to take over the world.
in a really inclusive kind of way.
Oh, okay. Just a few people.
No, I feel no. My team actually jokes about it because I'm like, as soon as this project's done, we're all going to take a break, and they're like, that's not going to happen, right? And it's so true. We were finishing, like, not even have everything done, but just finished writing the second book. I was like, I already have my idea for the third book. Okay, we need to start that next month. And they're like, seriously, because I just have too many ideas, and I love to work. Like, it's not one of my big things about Boss Mom is I don't want my kids thinking work is a negative word. I think work is important. I think work teaches us about ourselves. It gives us a sense of purpose. It gives us a sense of fulfillment and interest and excitement and growth. And I love to create things. And so I don't like the times when I feel bad or like things aren't working. It's because something I built, I don't feel confident about how I built it, or I don't feel confident about the process, or someone came back and said they didn't like what I built, and I get that moment of like, oh my gosh, somebody didn't like what I had, and then I get over it and I move on. So those times of disjointedness are when I feel bad, but I know, I build all day long. I don't think I'll ever stop building things. I just may stop building things for Boss Mom at some point. And like we're going to launch Boss Dad, and I just launched a podcast with my dad about storytelling, and we're gonna, who knows what I'll do, but I don't think I'll ever stop building stuff. It's too much fun.
And you should have gone with Boss Baby, because there's a film out there already. You could have just walked straight into that one, and it's out there everywhere, branding everywhere. Boss Baby, be perfect.
I know.
Now, what you did also with your site that I was amazed at when I went over there, your team are kind of rock stars. There's names that I actually recognise. Now, people out there listening probably won't, but I used to be very into the solopreneur, and I used to listen to Dawn Mars, dawnmars.com. Now she's part of your she's part of your team. Yeah, absolutely. And solopreneur was the first time ever my voice actually ended up on a podcast, which was episode 8, I think,
really?
with him on there. And how did you get these people? Are they part of your team? Do you pay them? Because it seems to me that you're channeling traffic in a brilliant way here, but obviously I can't imagine that you're paying all of them.
I'm paying all of them. I do. I'm a big believer in paying people. Dawn and I are actually, my kids call her Aunt Dawn. So Dawn and I we actually physically pay each other for things. She builds all my funnels. I help her a lot with content strategy, but we pay each other because that's what people who have businesses do. But she's a really close friend of mine. Mike O'Neill's awesome. I've actually, when I was on his podcast, we recorded, I got to be, was at his house. Like I get to go, he plays drums. And so there's a speakeasy downtown in San Diego where he goes, and we, can go drink and watch him play drums with the band and everything, which is totally fun. So he's a great guy. But yeah, they're all, I told you, I was a big believer in a team. My husband told me, if there's something that you're doing and you could pay somebody less than you would make in that hour to get whatever it is done, then you are losing money in your business. So every time I sit down to do something, I cannot be the CEO of my business if I'm doing things that are wasting money. And I consider me doing things that are below my pay grade to be wasting money. So why do them? And I would rather be delegating, approving, and what I call being the go west person. I set the direction. I am the captain of the ship. I have to make sure we're going in the right way. And if something's going wrong, I am the one who's right there to make sure it gets fixed and we work on it and everything. But everybody else is the one that makes the ship actually go. And if I don't build it that way, then I honestly think I'm just going to add more work, and it makes it harder to be successful. So yeah, all those people. And every time I need something, or I'll have somebody come to me and they'll be like, Dan, I don't really like doing this anymore. Like, I don't really want to write show notes anymore. I'm like, okay, well, you don't want to write show notes. You have to find the person and interview people to find me the right person to write the show notes. I need to understand what that cost is going to be. And if I'm going to keep you on for the same amount that I'm paying you now, what are you going to do to fill that time that's going to help us make money in this business? What's the ROI on me keeping you for those same hours if you're going to give that up? And I empower my team to make those decisions. So they're always doing things they love, but making sure that they have to own handing that off and understanding that everybody, even though nobody is full-time in my business, everybody is technically a consultant that I pay within my team. They all consider themselves to be massively bonded to the Boss Mom brand. They would lay down in front of a train for us, and I would do the same for them. And they are building, they're helping me build this business. Like, they actually care about this business growing.
So who was the first member of staff? Because that's a leap of faith, isn't it? When you start creating your own business and you're getting a certain bit of money in, most people will be bending over backwards to do everything before you think, oh, hang on, I need support here. Who was the first one?
So Danielle Roberts is now my online business, so my OBM. When I wrote the first Boss Mom book, I knew hands down the way I wanted to grow the brand is visibility. I'm a broadcast journalism major. I love to talk. I'm a total extrovert. I'm a Gemini, so I talk a lot. And I hired her for a couple hours a week to promote me to podcasts and just get me on podcasts. And then she was actually one of the pre-readers to my book. I didn't even know she did VA work. And then so she started doing that. And then she started doing more and more and more to help me, organize from a VA perspective in my business. Now she manages my email and my calendar and is literally my other half. Like, I'm going to go speak at a conference. I bring her with me. I'm up at Starbucks and I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about. And they're like, what did you like? And I'm like, I look up and someone behind me, and she goes, she would like a grande vanilla latte and an oatmeal to go, please. And I was like, oh, well, thanks, Danielle. Like, she just knows. She's like, the devil wears Prada. She just knows my brain. And that started from a couple hours a week, and now she's almost full time for me. So, and honestly, she's pregnant with her fourth baby. So most of my girls don't want full time. And so it works out perfect because I can give them all the hours they want and need without necessarily having full-time people on my staff.
I tell you what, I should have moved to San Diego. Everyone's having sex all the time. That's all that's happening.
She lives in Wisconsin, actually.
Oh, I'm not going there. It's too cold. I'm not going there. It will just look smaller, which is not good. I'm not going to go anywhere like that. Right, okay. So when you got your first member of staff in, she's now your Devil Wears Prada. She's really sort of your right-hand man, woman, whatever. When did you realise that you actually had the business that you wanted and it wasn't just you playing around?
Oh, I still don't have the business that I want. We're probably a couple years away from it being the empire I intend it to be. But I think there's a flow of systems that I think a good business has, and we've only been in business for like a Boss Mom. I started being a content strategist that didn't really have a brand, several years ago, but about a year and a half ago is when Boss Mom came about. But about 6 months ago, there was just this beautiful symbiotic flow of my team where, Kelsey, who does my content strategy with me, we'd vox her back and forth my ideas for this course. And then she would draw them on a piece of paper and upload them into Trello. And I would say, yes, this is what I like and don't like. And then she makes those changes. And then she gets to Lila, who does all my design. And Lila would mock it up and make it beautiful. And we would do that flow. And then we'd finish that. And then NJ would write my emails for what has to go out. And Natalie, who's my project manager, would make sure everybody's doing what they're doing and we're going to hit deadlines. And all these things just started happening. And everybody in my team started working together and doing their part in a way that was really efficient. And I was like, oh, this feels so good. It feels so good. Like I'm actually making more money because everybody is doing what they do so well that we've got this beautiful flow. And it was just like a nice tide that like ebbed and flowed, and it was serene and beautiful. And then of course we'll be like, let's try this new thing. And then there's a wrench that's thrown in there, and then we've all got to figure that out. But to me, the systems, if you can get systems that work so that everybody's doing their things together and they're playing their part, and everybody, the less I have to worry that somebody's doing their job and I can trust that they're doing it well because we've worked that out, that just feels so good.
I can imagine it does, as are these words. These words make me feel good every single day, and they created a whole theme of what has become Join Up Dots, so let's hear them again. Steve Jobs.
Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference.
So what do you trust in, Dana?
What do I trust in? I trust that I trust that I'm resilient. And I trust that I'm not married to my failures, I guess. I'm not even married to my successes, to be honest. I think that whole idea of connecting the dots, there are a lot of tiny dots that are in the middle, but we don't worry about those. Like I worry about the big dots. Like I worry about my milestones. I worry about what my end in mind is, as Stephen Covey would say. Like if I'm looking back at the dots that are connecting, I don't look at every dot, right? So I love it because anything what I love about I don't know who talked or who said that, but I love that you can make a connection between anything. And so I can decide looking back or looking forward which dots are the ones that I want to pay attention to, and the outliers I just ignore because those don't matter as much. It's the big dots that matter. So to me, it's not just about connecting the dots. It's about the size of the dots. Does that make sense?
It always is. It always is. Yes. And wait, what was the real big dot out of everything when you look back on it? What was the real big dot that really got you to where you are today?
Well, I'd like to say, having my children and getting married and writing my book and all that stuff. But honestly, I was at a conference, a bad conference. Actually, it was one of those ones where just everybody's selling something. And I was there with a good friend of mine who's a recent good friend. And my business was Boss Mom wasn't born yet. I was having a bit of a hard time. And I went in, one guy who's in the military, I don't remember his name. I don't remember what his business was. He got up on stage and he said that our entrepreneurs, we pursue, a lot of things. Like we do a lot of things because we can be okay or pretty good at a lot of things. And he goes, what you have to decide is you have to figure out the thing that comes really easy to you, that nobody understands how you can do it so well, so fast. That's the thing you're going to make money on. And I went home and I still couldn't figure it out. So I just helped my friend with her business. We actually left the conference earlier and I helped her with her business. And in the midst of that, she's like, oh my God, Dana, you are a brainstorming genius. And I love the way you think. I don't even understand how you see all the parts of my business coming together in this way. She's like, you're a freaking content strategist. Like that's what you are. Like this is your space. You need to be doing this. I went home. I got on Facebook. I went to a group as I'm going to take 3 people to help you build your content strategy for the next 6 months. I had like 7 people get on. 3 of the people I gave for free, I was able to sell it to several of the others. 2 of the 3 people that I did for free came on for clients. And all of a sudden I was a content strategist. And that's what changed it was someone that told me, hey, that thing where you're just doing a bunch of stuff, maybe that's not the right way. Like just because you can doesn't mean you should. Do what's just comes so naturally to you. And you feel really good about that. And you get paid way more because it takes me 15 minutes to do what some people take months. And that commands a pretty good living.
I can see that. And as I'm scrolling up and down, I'm looking at images of you. You're a very attractive lady, but is it good makeup? Because how do you not look terrible? Every single photo I've gone up and down.
I love that. How do you not look terrible?
Have you seen?
Excellent question, David.
Well, have you seen me? Have you seen me recently? I've aged. It's like dog years since I started doing this. I've lost my youthful looks, but you're looking younger and younger, like Benjamin Button. How's it manageable?
Well, there's probably a couple things. One, I live in San Diego, where it's beautiful and wonderful all the time. I laugh a lot. I think laughter is really good for your health. So I try and laugh as much as humanly possible. I try to take as little as I can seriously. Like I try not to bog myself down in stress as much as possible, which doesn't always happen. I have a lot of things, health issues going along in my family, which makes it tough. But good lighting. Good, I don't know, drinking, hydrating. And some days I'm not sure that I do look so good. But I also got blessed. My mom's 5'10" with super long legs, and she's beautiful and wonderful and completely natural. My mom never wore makeup. She still doesn't. And she worked in a salon when she was 16 with this beautiful, gorgeous, down to her butt, dirty blonde hair. And they convinced her to bleach it, and it ruined her hair. And she was like, Dana, if the only thing you ever listen to me for is do not dye your hair ever, like for me. And I've never dyed my hair. So I'm just a very natural person. And I think the fact that I haven't tried to be something I'm not allows me to have more fun. And I'm like a little kid. I feel like being silly makes you young.
I think so. I agree with you totally. I'm going to be more silly as I possibly can. And it is a weird thing when you become your natural self. Your tribe grows around you. The people that like you really like you, and the people that think you're an idiot just go on their own way. I think it's that allowing the gold to come to you again, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people have to think you're an idiot. Like there would be no balance in the universe. I think like volcanoes would start to erupt and like earthquakes would start to happen if, like the Matrix. And they said, hey, we created the Matrix where everybody was happy and everybody connected. And we rejected the system because pain and challenge and discomfort and judgment like makes us feel like life is real. And so I have to expect it. There's no way I can have people that love me truly for who I am without having people on the other side who don't get me and think I'm dumb. Like it's just the yin and the yang. And I just don't give a crap about the other people because they love somebody else and somebody else loves them. And it's all a, interconnected weave of liking and disliking. And, it's like the dots. I'm going to choose to focus on the dots that make me feel good about myself as opposed to the dots that make me feel like crap.
Great stuff. Right, this is the end of the show now. This is the part that I've been leading up to, that we call the Sermon on the Mic, when we're going to send you back in time to have a one-on-one with your younger self. And if you could go back in time and speak to the young Dana, what age would you choose and what advice would you give? Well, we're going to find out because I'm going to play the theme, and when it fades, you're up. This is the Sermon on the Mic.
Here we go with the best bit of the show, the Sermon on the Mic, the Sermon on the Mic.
Hey, lady, how's it going? So you look kind of down, I feel like I just saw you dating a guy and you pretended to like wrestling for like 3 months. You don't like wrestling. Why would you ever pretend to like wrestling? You did it because he was cute, didn't you? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's much easier to find people that you actually like to hang out with and that you don't have to break up with, whether they're boyfriends or friends or colleagues or clients. If you just find people you'd actually like to hang out with, you find people that, you're not faking who you are because you think you've got to like what they like in order for them to like you. You don't have to do that because that boy, you broke up with him a couple months later and then you cried about it and then he cried about it and then he tried to get you back and then you watched wrestling again and pretend you like Twin Peaks. And why would you do that? You don't need to do that. Just be more yourself, like what you like. And when you start doing more of that, you're going to find the people that you have the best inside jokes with ever, that last for years and years and years and years. And those are the people that make you feel good about yourself and good about who you are and what you're doing. And that's where success comes from, is really enjoying waking up and being around the people you are. Do more of that, my love, and life will be gravy.
Great stuff. What's the number one best way that our audience can connect with you?
Yeah, so boss-mom.com is our site, and that way you can get to our awesome Facebook group. We just hit 20,000. You can get to our Boss Mom podcast from there. You can get my awesome Trello training, which teaches you how to be more productive and time manage. You can get all of our stuff, including my new book, the Confessions of a Boss Mom book that came out, which I'm super pumped about. But yeah, we have a brand new Boss Mom site, so boss-mom.com. Samantha Johnston from Neapolitan Creative did it, and she's a genius, and it makes me so incredibly happy. So just go there to check it out, whether you like me or not, because then you can see how beautiful her work is.
And we will have all the links on the show notes. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, joining up those dots. And please come back again when you've got more dots to join up, because I do believe that by joining up the dots and connecting our past is the best way to build our futures. Dana Banana, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. It was a blast.
And there you have it. Someone who's just willing to be themselves, enjoy themselves, create a business that works for them and their clients. She's not hiding behind anything. I think she's probably the closest to what I would want you guys to have. That authenticity of being yourself, loving your life and creating whatever you want. And you really can do it. You really can do it. And as she said, if you find something that you can do really quickly and really professionally, there's value there. So just take it forward, try and find your clients, and you'll be doing well. Of course you will. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Join Up Darts. I really enjoyed that one. I thought she was great. And we'll speak again soon.
David doesn't want you to become a faded version of the brilliant self you were once to become. So he's put together an amazing guide for you called the 8 Pieces of Advice That Every Successful Entrepreneur Practices, including the 2 that changed his life. Head over to joinupdots.com to download this amazing guide for free, and we'll see you tomorrow on Join Up Dots.